There are thousands of videos on YouTube that cover the 22 long rifle cartridge. So I've always been hesitant to make one for myself. I was recently talking to a friend about 22 long rifle match ammunition and finding the right lot of ammo for my gun. And even though my friend was very gun savvy and probably owns more than a dozen 22s, he had no idea what I was talking about when I talked about lot numbers of 22 ammo. I also get tons of email every month from people with 22 related questions, and I'm currently helping a viewer build a CZ457 for PRS matches that he plans to join. I started to think that maybe people don't know as much about the 22 long rifle as I thought they did, and maybe doing a video on it would add a little bit of value in this oversaturated market. So sit back and relax as I delve into the history and relevance of the world's most popular cartridge, the 22 long rifle. The 22 LR actually evolved from earlier cartridges. In 1845, the first rimfire metallic cartridge was used, and it was called the 22 BB cap. That 22 BB cap was purely a parlor cartridge or a gallery cartridge made for the shooting gallery games of the time. And the projectile was a small ball weighing about 16 to 20 grains. Then in 1857, the 22 short was invented. They basically lengthened the case of the 22 BB cap, filled it with 4 grains of black powder, and topped it off with a 29 grain heeled bullet. Smith & Wesson made the cartridge popular in their Model 1 single action revolver. Then in 1871, the case was lengthened so that it could hold 5 grains of black powder to shoot the same 29 grain bullet, and that was called the 22 long. Finally, in 1887, Stevens Arms added a 40 grain heeled bullet and called it the 22 long rifle. The 22 long rifle easily made the transition to smokeless powder and eventually became the most popular cartridge in the world. Probably 90% of the shooters in the world today started with a 22 long rifle. It's just the perfect cartridge for new shooters to learn with. It has very little recoil and almost no muzzle blast. Anyone who's ever learned the basics of trigger control and sight alignment and gun safety likely learned it with a 22 long rifle. Learning to shoot good isn't very easy. It takes lots of practice, but luckily there's no cheaper ammo out there to fire than using a 22 long rifle cartridge. But the 22 LR is more than just the proverbial beginner's cartridge. It also excels as a small game hunting cartridge and is personally responsible for more squirrel deaths than probably any other cartridge. Countless rabbits, roosting grouse, and other critters have hit the pot over the last 130 years due to the 22 long rifle. The 22 LR is also the most popular pest control cartridge in the world. Everything from rats to raccoons have been eradicated with the help of the 22. It's quiet enough to be unobtrusive, slow enough to minimize collateral damage, and is powerful enough to kill. The 22 LR is also a target and competition cartridge. As long as you find some high quality and highly consistent ammunition, you'll find that the 22 has absolutely great accuracy potential inside of about 100 yards. NRL 22 and 22 PRS matches have become some of the most popular shooting sports these days. The 22 LR has also been in use for military, law enforcement, and special operations for many years. The Israelis famously used it for crowd control and short-range sniping. Law enforcement still uses it to take out street lights and security lights before raids. And assassins have used the 22 LR to great effect throughout modern history. The 22 LR is also a favored weapon of many criminals. The old deuce deuce has been a favorite of gang members to quietly take out rivals at close range. The 22 LR is also unfortunately extensively used by animal poachers. But the most popular use of the 22 LR is definitely plinking. Going out and shooting some targets or old cans just for fun is an American pastime that's made the 22 LR what it is today. The 22 is just a hell of fun to shoot. The variety of firearm platforms chambered for the 22 long rifle is just mind-boggling. Every type of handgun, from Derringers to semi-autos, are chambered in the 22 LR. Every type of rifle, from bolt guns to lever action guns to pump action guns to semi-autos, are chambered in the 22 LR. There is even 22 LR conversion kits for guns that fire centerfire cartridges, so you can train with your weapon for cheap. And 22 long rifle replica guns have been super popular, and my favorite one of these is my MP5 replica in 22 long rifle. I just love this thing. This thing is a hoot. But out of everything in my extensive firearm collection, I probably end up selling more 22 guns than any other type of firearm, but mainly because I buy so many of them. You know, because something new is always being released for this cartridge. 22 long rifle can be addicting, so hide your credit cards. Before we talk about 22 LR ammo, let's address loading your own 22 LR ammo. There's never really been an economical way to make quality 22 long rifle ammunition. You know, the cases on these are pretty much a one-time use thing if you care about accuracy. You know, there is no reloading if you want quality ammo with 22 LR. The 22 LR reloading kits that they sell actually make really horrible ammo. But Cutting Edge came out with bullets, primed brass, and dies for 22 LR. But most people found out over the years that commercial match ammunition was more accurate and reliable for the price. And the idea of loading your own 22 LR kind of fizzled out a little bit. So almost all hunters and competition shooters buy high quality commercial 22 LR ammunition, and that's what I also recommend. As I stated earlier in this video, the 22 LR is inherently accurate, but although that's true, it's usually not realized in a practical sense because out of all of the available cartridges that you probably shoot, 22 ammo suffers the most from inconsistency issues, and I'll explain why that is. The 22 LR cartridge is a rimfire, so it actually head spaces off the little rim. And unfortunately, rim thickness can vary among ammo manufacturers. And as you know, headspace can cause accuracy and reliability issues, and you see that a lot with 22 LR ammo. Also, the bullets used for the 22 LR are also prone to inconsistency in shape and weight. You know, a bullet being off by 1 grain, you know, for a 150 grainer might not matter, but it matters a lot when you're talking about a little 40 grain 22 bullet. The same goes for powder. You know, the powder metering process for ammo will always have small inconsistencies. You know, if we make 6.5 Creedmoor ammo with 42 grains of powder, and the powder charge varies by half a grain, you might not notice it. But when you put 2 grains of powder in a 22 LR case and it's off by a couple of tenths, that's a huge deal. Also, manufacturers use priming compound for velocity too. And some companies use more compound and less powder, and others use more powder and less compound. So priming compound can also cause inconsistency issues. Most 22 long rifle ammunition is so inconsistent that when you shoot it, you can instantly tell which rounds are hotter by the sound that it makes when you fire it. And you can visibly see the flyers on the target as a result of that. So as far as precision goes, there's a huge difference between match ammunition and standard ammunition. And to add to, some of these ammo inconsistencies, you'll find that 22 LR barrels are often really picky about ammunition when it comes to precision. It's so bad that lot numbers of the same exact ammo will shoot drastically different in a precision 22 LR barrel. Almost every competitive rimfire shooter out there lot tests ammo. And if you want to shoot tiny groups with your 22 LR, you have to find the right ammo to do that. And competition shooters tend to use ammunition brands like SK or La Poire or Ely or RWS. If extreme accuracy is important to you with your 22 LR, subsonic or standard velocity ammo will usually be more accurate than the high velocity stuff. And also you got to keep in mind, if you want to shoot a semi-auto, you also need to make sure that your ammo will cycle in it. Many semi-autos are very picky with ammo. My Remington 597 will only cycle the hotter CCI mini mags in it. And don't freak out when you see a coating on 22 bullets. Most unjacketed 22 bullets have a wax or grease lubricant on them. The wax lubricates and prevents lead fouling. The wax also prevents oxidation of the lead. 22 LR ammo runs really dirty. The primers deposit dust, and the bullet lubricant can make a really gummy mess in the chamber and barrel. 22 LR ammo is usually sold either in your standard boxes of 50, or trays of 100, or in what's known as a brick. And a brick of 22 LR ammo is usually 500 rounds. You could sometimes buy a case of 22 LR, which is 5,000 rounds. 22 LR utilizes bullet weights from 20 to 60 grains. Due to case capacity, the light bullets will usually be a lot faster and the heavies will be a lot slower. So, although 22 LR is extremely cheap compared to centerfire ammunition, most 22 rifles are really picky about what ammo they like. So ammo needs to have the right power and headspace to function properly in your semi-auto. And you need to find the most consistent ammo for extreme accuracy and precision if you're competition or target shooting. It often takes some work to find the right ammunition for your 22 LR. And please don't misinterpret this chapter like I know a lot of you are going to do. Yes, the match grade ammo is almost necessary if you're competing. But for anything other than that, your cheap bulk budget packs of 22 long rifle ammo are perfectly acceptable. If I'm going out hunting squirrels or rabbits, I'm going to use this cheap stuff. If I'm, taking a niece or nephew out to plink some cans or just go out and have some fun, I'm not going to use match ammo for that. As a matter of fact, I would say 90% of the 22 LR ammo I shoot is the cheap bulk pack stuff. If it runs good in the gun, especially a semi-auto, and it's reasonably accurate, I have no problem using it for those purposes. So when I say match grade ammo and match grade accuracy and all these things, I'm talking about it from a competition standpoint, not from a plinking or hunting standpoint. The standard twist weight for the 22 long rifle is 1 in 16, but if you plan to use those heavy 60 grain lead bullets or the longer 40 grain copper bullets, you'll probably need a faster twist rate. ELR shooters also like a faster twist rate for longer ranges for bullet stability reasons, but 99% of shooters out there are going to be perfectly fine with a standard 1 in 16 twist rate. And, you know, for most people, that's going to be perfect. Because of the 22 LR's low pressure, tiny powder capacity, and lubricated bullets, 22 LR barrels actually last a long time. You know, I've seen people competing with barrels with well over 30,000 rounds through the pipe. So, you know, I don't know what the lifespan is on a 22 LR barrel, but I bet it's a really long time. With barrel length for the 22 LR, most testing shows that barrels over 20 inches offer no real velocity advantage. And some do claim, though, that a long barrel seems to give better bullet stabilization at longer distances. And there's a lot of people out there who theorize that longer barrels give them lower SDs too. PRS shooters also use longer barrels because it helps to balance the rifle better on barricades and props. And lastly, barrel profile is the same as with any rifle. A fat barrel is better for precision shooting and long shooting strings, and a skinnier barrel is better for a hunting type rifle that's going to be carried in the hand out in the field. One of the oddest and confusing things that you'll find when you shoot a lot of 22 LR is that cold bore shots usually have a way different point of impact than a warm bore shot. The difference is way more substantial than any centerfire round. So, you know, I've seen match barrels where the cold bore shot is always 3 inches off the main group at 50 yards with match ammunition. The most popular theory is that the barrel dries out and causes flyers. The lube and moisture is distributed inside the barrel, and as long as you keep firing before that dissipates, you won't get a flyer. However, if the gun sits long enough to dry out, you'll get a first round flyer usually. Many people do the little straw experiment and prove that blowing down the bore with a straw in your mouth will eliminate the cold bore flyer. And I've tried it and it actually works. But in a practical sense here, for a hunting rifle, you should always zero for that cold bore shot. For a competition or target gun, you should always zero for a warm bore group. Let's be realists here. 22 long rifle has almost no recoil when fired from a rifle. So there's absolutely no legitimate reason to have a muzzle brake on your 22. You know, some claim that barrel tuners do give benefits with competition guns, but I personally haven't delved into that. Even though 22 LR is relatively quiet, especially with subsonic ammo, some people do use suppressors with their 22s. But remember earlier in this video when I talked about how dirty 22 LR ammo is? Well, that causes issues that are specific to the 22 long rifle when using a suppressor. 22 LR ammo deposits a lot of junk into that suppressor fast, and you need to service the suppressor at about 300 rounds because they get gummed up so bad. But the biggest issue is that when you tilt the suppressed 22 rifle up in the air, chunks of debris in the can fall down into the barrel, and get into the chamber and onto the bolt. And this almost always causes accuracy issues and may eventually cause feeding issues as well. It's for that reason that most competition guns that shoot a lot of ammo don't run suppressed. You know, suppressors are mainly used on 22 LR hunting rifles that don't see long strings of fire or huge round counts during the day. I started shooting with the 22 LR when I was a little kid, mainly shooting cans or targets with my dad and grandpa's old rifles and revolvers. My first ever real gun was this Marlin Model 60 that my dad bought me when I was 10 years old. To this day, this thing just runs like a champ and hits what I aim at. You know, I get a flood of happy childhood memories every time I touch this gun. I just love it. And, you know, I've bought and sold countless 22s over my lifetime. And I've always had a soft spot for the CZ452. And I used mine a lot when I had it. But when the CZ455s came out, I sold my 452 and instantly bought a CZ455. You know, being able to swap a barrel out or even change to another rimfire cartridge in 5 minutes just made it the ultimate rimfire hunting rifle in my opinion. But CZ rimfire rifles still had design elements that I didn't really like. You know, I absolutely hated the backward safety. You know, I didn't really like the trigger on them. I hated the trigger guard. So when CZ came out with the 457, you know, I ended up eventually selling my 455s because CZ finally corrected every issue that the 455 had. And, you know, even added a short bolt throw. So the CZ 457 is what I currently hunt with when, you know, I want to go out in the woods and do a little bit of squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting with friends. About 10 years ago, I stopped doing local 22 bench rest competitions. I put a lot of money into an old CZ 452 and a Sako 78 for those competitions, and I ended up selling both those rifles. I did buy a Voodoo V22 about 6 years ago, but I ended up selling that too because we went through a period of time where match grade 22 ammo was just impossible to get. But recently, we started having local NRL matches, and I decided to build an open class gun for that. And since I've been shooting CZ rimfires for the last 25 years, I decided to stick with that and build off of a CZ 457. The CZ 457 is a really easy platform for the home hobbyist to build off of. You know, when I find the right lots of SK ammo for this sucker, it shoots in the 2s and 3s at 50 yards over and over and over again. You know, in case you haven't noticed, I'm a huge CZ 457 fan. I also have a lot of 22 long rifle pistols and revolvers. My favorite 22 LR handgun is this old Ruger Mark III target competition model. And like many Ruger products, this did have some growing pains, but it's been a really fantastic gun after I fixed the issues with it. But I probably shoot better with this handgun than any other handgun I own. And I have a lot of them. So if you see me out hunting rabbits or squirrels with my 22, you'll see a 457 in my hands. If you see me out there shooting 22 competitions, you'll see my 457 in my hands. And if you see me out there shooting 22 pistol, you'll see this old Ruger Mark III competition target model in my hands. And that's what I shoot right now. The humble little 22 long rifle cartridge is the most popular cartridge in the world. You see it hunting squirrels in the forests and rabbits in the desert. You see it in high stakes competitions, including the Olympics. You see it in a farmer's hand trying to control pests and protect his livelihood. And you see it in the hands of a child learning how to shoot and hunt. For almost 140 years, the .22 long rifle cartridge has embodied what makes firearms great. You know, it's suited for work and for play. It's not a rich man's cartridge, but it's also not a poor man's cartridge. It's a cartridge for everyone, everywhere. Well, that wraps up my video on the .22 long rifle. You could reach me with any questions or comments at desertdogoutdoors@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.